I'm Dale Dye. I'm a captain, United States Marine Corps, retired. I've got two things that are really in the hopper right now. The first is a World War II film, a D-Day story of the 82nd Airborne's fight at Lafayette Bridge in Normandy. It's a wonderful story. I wrote it. I'm going to direct it. And I'm doing all the preparation work to get that ready to roll this year. And I'm finishing a new book called Beirut File, which is the fourth in the Sheikh Davis File series of adventure novels that I write. I have this compulsion to tell stories, and I've come to understand over the years the power that's inherent in the media if you're willing to tell a good story and hold the audience's attention. And that fascinates me, and I'm about it practically every waking moment. Immediately after I retired, I really didn't know what I would do. So I sat down one evening and said, I have to go about this in a logical fashion. And so I bought a yellow legal pad and drew a line down the middle and put assets on one side and liabilities on the other side, and sat there all night trying to find out what I could bring to the table. What are my skills? What are my talents? What can I offer people who potentially would hire me? And it was a terrible evening because I ended up with about 16 pages of liabilities and about 3 lines of assets. And what I discovered by looking at those few assets was that I'd always been a movie fan. I'd seen every military movie that there was, I think. And the common denominator in that experience was essentially that they pissed me off. And they pissed me off because they didn't reflect the military world or the world of combat as I knew it. So I said, I'm going to Hollywood. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find out why this is going on, and then I'm going to fix it. Because I know there's a better way to do this. I looked at it as an objective, as an operation. And I decided that I would begin to form an entity that would allow me to attack this problem, much like building, combat building a unit for what you want to do. So I began to do that, and I created this outfit. I incorporated this outfit called Warriors Incorporated. Warriors Incorporated, my company has always had a single agenda, and that is to shine some long overdue light on the great Americans who've worn this country's uniform or who wear it now. And I began to try to sell my services. I began to say, look, I have a better way to make war films. I had learned to read the trade papers. I'd learned to read Daily Variety and the Hollywood Reporter for insights. And one of the insights I got was this little notation, I think it was in Daily Variety, that said, a heretofore relatively unknown writer-director by the name of Oliver Stone was going to do a movie based on his own experiences as a combat infantryman in Vietnam. Well, the light went on. I said, I've got to get to this guy. And so through a series of machinations and criminal activity of one sort and another, I managed to get his home phone number. And I called him one Sunday morning, and I said, look, you don't know me, I don't know you, but if what I read in the trades is true, you need me. And I went into my best 3-minute drill in which I explained what I thought was wrong with most previous war movies and how we could fix that by training the actors, by putting them through the actual experience that we had. And not only would we give them the standard drill about how to handle the weapon and how to wear your equipment and how to walk and how to talk, but we would give them an insight. We'd give them an emotional insight into that interdependence that goes on between men in combat, that black humor that develops as part and parcel of resisting the horror that's around you. We'd give them those understandings, and it would color their performance just automatically. Well, Oliver understood it because he'd been through it. And so he gave me 33 some actors, and including at that point guys who weren't famous at all, like Johnny Depp and Forrest Whitaker and Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger and Charlie Sheen. And I took them for 3 weeks up in the mountains of the Philippines and made them live as we had lived as young men in Vietnam. The result of that little $5 million movie was that we brought it home, and we won 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and Oliver won for Best Director. he was kind enough to acknowledge me publicly as the guy who most influenced what went on. And at that point, my career was made. Nothing succeeds like success in Hollywood. With Saving Private Ryan, what I found interesting was that Tom Hanks understood the value and the importance of what was going on. And as I built him into a leader, a military leader, he stepped right into that position and became sort of my good right arm. And that was the beginning of my great admiration for him as an actor and as a man. I'd like to be remembered as a good man, a man who, in his own fashion, to the extent that he could, tried to make things better for people, tried to make things better especially for military people. I'd like to be remembered as a good husband, a good father, a patriot, a guy who did what his nation asked of him, and then tried to turn that into something better for those others who served.